marshes of Essex lie under a pale autumn sun. A thin veil of mist curls like ghostly fingers over the wet ground. October 18th, 1016. In the English camp, King Edmund Ironside walks the length of his shield wall. 8,000 men, warriors and farmers alike, stand shoulder to shoulder. Some clutch spears worn smooth from years of use. Others grip them with the nervous hands of those who've never fought in battle. Edmund's gaze is steady. He knows this could be the day that decides the fate of England. Across the churned field waits Cnut the Great's Danish host. Their round shields gleam with painted beasts and runic symbols. Axe blades catch the light like silver fangs. Behind them, the Norse standards. The raven banners sway in the wind. The still air is shattered by the blare of war horns. Both lines surge forward. The shield walls meet with the crack of splintering wood and bone. The battle rages for hours, each side driving and falling back, neither yielding. Then, betrayal strikes. Edric Streona, an English noble whose loyalties have long been suspect, pulls his men from the flank. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records it without flourish. And then Edric the Elderman, as he had often before promised, betrayed his lord and the whole people of England. The gap is fatal. The Danes pour through like water through a broken dam. By sundown, 3,000 lie dead. Cnut will soon be crowned king. The Viking Age in England will not end in retreat, but in triumph. For nearly 3 centuries, the Vikings, seafarers from the rugged coasts of Scandinavia, struck terror into the kingdoms of Europe. Masters of the longship, they could appear without warning, strike deep inland, and vanish before armies could gather. They raided monasteries, burned towns, toppled kings, and redrew the borders of nations. Yet among the countless raids and skirmishes, a few stand apart, decisive battles that changed the course of history. These are the Monarch top 10 Viking battles that shaped history. 10. Raid on Lindisfarne, 793. The holy island of Lindisfarne lies off the coast of Northumbria, a center of Christian learning famed for its illuminated manuscripts and sacred relics. For generations, it has been a place of peace. But at dawn on June 8, 793, the horizon darkens with dragon-prowed ships. The longships beach silently on the sand. Dozens of Norse warriors leap into the shallows. The monks, unarmed, can only watch in terror as the raiders surge toward the monastery. Doors splinter under axe blows. Gold chalices and jeweled crosses vanish into rough hands. Some monks are cut down where they stand. Others are bound in chains, destined for the slave markets. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle laments, "Never before has such terror appeared in Britain. The Church of God is spattered with the blood of the priests." To the medieval world, this is not just a raid. It is an attack on the very order of Christendom. Chronicler Alcuin of York writes, "Behold, the Church of St. Cuthbert is spattered with the blood of the priests of God, despoiled of all its ornaments." The Viking Age has begun. Number 9. Siege of Dumbarton Rock, 870 to 871. Dumbarton Rock rises like a jagged tooth from the River Clyde. It is the seat of the Kingdom of Strathclyde. In 870, Viking kings Amlaeb and Emar arrive with 200 longships and perhaps 5,000 warriors. The fortress is strong, steep cliffs on all sides, but it can be starved. For 4 months, the defenders endure hunger, thirst, and disease. Rain lashes the walls. Morale crumbles. The once proud defenders become gaunt shadows. At last, the gates fall. The annals of Ulster record, "The fortress of the Britons was besieged, and a great prey of men and goods was brought to Ireland. Hundreds are slaughtered. Thousands more are chained and shipped to Dublin, to be sold like livestock in the slave markets." The fall of Dumbarton ends Strathclyde's independence. It cements Norse dominance over the Irish Sea. As one later Gaelic proverb would recall, "Where the Norseman's shadow falls, kings lose their crowns." Number 8. Battle of Hafrsfjord, circa 872. In the 9th century, Norway is a patchwork of petty kingdoms, each ruled by a jarl. Harald Fairhair, a young and ambitious warlord, dreams of uniting them under one crown. But many resist. A coalition of rival jarls gathers to stop him, bringing their fleets to Hafrsfjord. The ships close in. They lash themselves together so warriors can leap from deck to deck. Axes rise and fall. Shields splinter. The fjord echoes with the clash of steel. The Heimskringla saga remembers it as the greatest battle that has ever been fought in Norway. When the water runs red with blood, Harald emerges victorious. Many defeated nobles choose exile, sailing to Shetland, Orkney, and Iceland. They carry Norse culture to new lands. Hafrsfjord marks the first step toward a united Norway. Harald earns his epithet Fairhair after swearing not to cut or comb his hair until he ruled all of Norway. Number 7. Battle of Edington, 878. By early 878, England is on the brink of collapse. Guthrum's great heathen army has overrun most of the land. King Alfred of Wessex hides in the marshes of Somerset. In spring, Alfred calls his Fyrd, a militia of farmers and craftsmen. He meets Guthrum's Danes at Edington. The shield walls crash together, a grinding, brutal contest of strength. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle tells us, the fight continued until the heathen army broke, and the king pursued them all the way to their fortress. Guthrum surrenders and accepts baptism. He takes the Christian name Athelstan. The Danelaw is established, dividing England but preserving Wessex. Later chroniclers would call Alfred the Great. Edington was the battle that made it possible. Number 6. Battle of Saucourt on Vimeur, 881. By the late 9th century, Viking raids into Frankish lands had become an annual torment. Norse fleets sailed up rivers like the Seine and the Somme. They struck deep into the heartland, plundering towns and monasteries. In 881, a particularly large Viking force, perhaps several thousand strong, rampaged through Flanders into northern France, burning villages, carrying away treasure and captives. Laden with loot, they began the long march back to their ships, confident the Franks could not catch them. But the Franks had learned. King Louis III, young but bold, had assembled a mounted force. Heavily armed cavalrymen trained to deliver crushing charges. Shadowing the Vikings, Louis waited for his moment. It came at Saucourt-en-Vimeu, in the fields of Picardy. The Norse column found itself crossing open ground. The Frankish cavalry appeared on the horizon. The annals of Saint-Bertin record, 9,000 of the pagan army were cut down. The number is almost certainly inflated, but the scale of the slaughter was real. Survivors fled in disarray, much of their plunder abandoned. For the first time in years, the Vikings had been decisively beaten in open battle. As one Frankish chronicler gloated, "The wolves who prowled our fields have been hunted down like cattle." Number 5. Battle of Leuven, 891. Despite Saucourt, the Norse continued to raid. In 891, a large Viking fleet sailed up the Scheldt River. They fortified a position at Leuven. From there, they raided the surrounding countryside with impunity. King Arnulf of Carinthia, ruler of East Francia, gathered a massive army. Frankish heavy cavalry supported by infantry. The Vikings, perhaps 6,000 strong, believed their camp along the River Dyle was secure. Arnulf launched a ferocious assault. Frankish cavalry smashed into the Viking shield wall. The impact splintered shields. Warriors were driven back toward the river. Many tried to swim to safety, only to drown under the weight of their armor. The annals of Fulda state bluntly, almost the whole of the Northmen's force was destroyed. Leuven broke the back of large-scale Viking incursions into Frankish lands. As a later monk wrote, "From that day, the Sea Kings feared the hooves of the Emperor's steeds." Number 4. Battle of Tettenhall, 910. In the early 10th century, Viking power in England was concentrated in the Danelaw, in the north and east. But in 910, 3 Viking kings, Eowulf, Halfdan, and Ingvar, led a major raid deep into Mercia. The combined armies of Wessex and Mercia, perhaps 7,000 strong, intercepted them near Tettenhall. The battle was fierce. Shield walls crashed. The front ranks hacked and stabbed in the choking press of men. By midday, the Anglo-Saxon alliance began to drive the Danes back. In the chaos, all 3 Viking kings were slain. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records with grim satisfaction, "They were all slain, and the rest of the army fled." Tettenhall permanently ended Viking attempts to dominate the English Midlands. It marked the moment when the Anglo-Saxons began to seize the initiative in the struggle for England. Number 3, Battle of Clontarf, 1014. Ireland in the early 11th century was a fractured land. Its kingdoms vied for dominance. Some Irish lords allied with Norse Gaelic rulers in Dublin. Others opposed them. High King Brian Boru sought to break Norse political power once and for all. On Good Friday, April 23, 1014, his army, about 7,000 strong, faced a coalition of Viking Dubliners, Norse from the Isles, and Irish rebels of similar strength. The battle raged from sunrise to sunset. The co-god Geir del Regalaib tells us. They fought from the sunrise of the Friday until the evening, and from the setting of the sun until darkness fell. The fighting was savage. Lines broke and reformed. The tide shifted again and again. By day's end, the Vikings were in retreat, but victory came at a terrible cost. Brian, now in his 70s, was slain in his tent by a small band of fleeing enemies. Though Norse political influence in Ireland ended, the island remained divided. Later Irish lore would remember Clontarf as the day when the sea's wolves were driven from our shores. Number 2, Siege of London, 1013. In 1013, Svein Forkbeard, King of Denmark, launched a full-scale invasion of England. After subduing much of the land, he sailed up the Thames to capture London, the heart of the kingdom. For weeks, the city held out. Hunger gnawed at the defenders. Winter winds cut through their armor. Supplies dwindled. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records simply, "And all the people submitted to him." Svein became the first Viking king to control London. Though he reigned for only a few months before his death, his conquest paved the way for his son, Cnut, to complete the subjugation of England. As a later chronicler observed, the gates that yielded to Svein were never closed to his son. Number 1, Battle of Asandun, 1016. The final act of the Viking Age in England played out at Asandun. King Edmund Ironside faced Cnut the Great. Each commanded roughly 8,000 men. The armies clashed in a brutal contest. Neither side yielded ground. Then, treachery. Edric Striona withdrew his troops at a critical moment. The Encomium Mi Reginae laments, "The English were slaughtered without mercy. The Danish forces poured through the gap. Thousands were cut down." Within months, Cnut ruled all of England. The Viking Age in the British Isles ended not in retreat, but in the crowning of a Danish king. As the 12th century historian William of Malmesbury later wrote, "Thus ended the long strife, not by treaty, but by the sword's decision. From the burning of Lindisfarne to the crowning of Cnut, the Vikings left their mark on Europe's map and memory. These were not just battles, they were turning points in the fate of nations. Moments when the clash of shield and sword echoed far beyond the field. Even now, more than 1,000 years later, the sagas of these sea kings still stir the imagination, reminding us that history is written not only in ink, but in blood."